A pleasant good evening to you, our valued listening audience. Welcome one, welcome all, welcome to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. On our show, Maritime Matters, we talk maritime. We are now in the month of the 44th anniversary of the destruction of HMBS Flamingo, which was destroyed on May 10th, 1980. The slaying of 4 of our nation's finest soldiers. The chasing of 15 surviving soldiers as they swam in the ocean from their patrol boat, the Flamingo, to one of the captured fishing vessels, while bullets were hurling through the air and rippling through the waters all around them. So brace yourself, dear listener, for another Tuesday, hence another Maritime Matters. Our sponsors for tonight's show are 101 Pharmacy and also Island Care Pharmacy. For all your medication needs, check out my little cousin Shantia McBride and her lovely team at 101 Pharmacy in Nassau and Island Care Pharmacy in Freeport. Fill your prescription at the store or send your refills via the online site 101pharmacy.com. That's 1-on-1, all lowercase, all one word, pharmacy.com. The 3 locations: East Street South, Charles Sanders Highway, and of course Explorers Way in downtown Freeport. We are secondly sponsored by Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited, that's BMC, where we provide a full slate of ISPS maritime security services. I take this opportunity to give a shout out to my number 1 fan, Auntie May, up there in Freeport, 91 years and going strong, and still listening to Maritime Matters on a weekly basis. She's still breaking them down, giving me a shots of report. Annie May, you take it easy up there, honey. You know I love you all the time. And I have 4 lovely daughters, grandkids, great-grandkids, so on, so forth. Keeping her busy with nothing but love. So a special good night to you, Auntie May. Continue to be the number 1 fan of Maritime Matters. To our listening audience out there, I take pleasure in introducing to you the man behind the controls, our wonderful producer, the insatiable, the man of the hour, the man with all the power. He is fully able, quite capable, the one and only Mr. Craig Gibson. Yes, and he's jumping up and down after giving us a throwing bunches. He's throwing bunches tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Craig is on the move. That's what I'm talking about. You're listening to Maritime Matters, and on this show, we talk maritime. Maritime Matters airs weekly at 17:05, that's 5:05 p.m. every Tuesday here on Love 97. Purpose of our show is to highlight persons that made significant contributions to maritime in the Bahamas and to sensitize Bahamians of opportunities in the maritime sector. We also cover current maritime issues from the domestic and international maritime feeds. Unfortunately tonight, once I get through with all this running on and ranting and raving, we cannot open phone lines because the balance of our show, the remainder of the show tonight, is pre-recorded. We humbly apologize for not being able to take live calls through that remainder. So if you want to call me, you know what you got to do. Get call now, right? But don't you dare touch that dial, because you know, you could be rest assured, dear listener, this is a show that you do not want to miss. We're talking maritime. You're listening to Maritime Matters. At this point, we move to our roll call of the 19 souls that made up the crew of the HMBS Flamingo during that fateful voyage in 1980. And we start with the 4 that were slaughtered in action: Fenwick Sturrock, Austin Smith, David Tucker, and Edward Williams. Those were the 4 that lost their lives after trying to serve the country, doing what they're supposed to do, and their life was just taken away from them by that evil attack on our 2-year-old spanking new patrol ship, the sister to the flagship HMBS Marlin, the HMBS Flamingo. The 4 that subsequently passed on were Wilfred Sands, Cool Breeze we call him. Oscar Miller, Dusty we call him. Leopold Kirby, Leo we call him. And of course, the Führer, Commander Amos Roll. Those four passed on since that incident. And with us, among us, living between us all day, every day, we have the 11 that still lives on, ladies and gentlemen, and we got to make sure to take care of them. We got to hug them when we see them. We got to tell them thank you. Thank you for being strong men. And they would be Anthony Allens, Peterson James, Gregory Curry, Denzel Clark, Trevor Sands, John Wallace, Whitfield Neely, Willard Sanders, Anthony Russell, Eugene Thompson, and Cladwell Farrington. We're talking maritime people, and tonight we're talking HMPS Flamingo, from the cradle to the grave. So the keel of the Marlin and the Flamingo were laid side by side, they were, during 1977, with delivery being engaged during May of 1978. The selected crew were a combination of veteran police marine officers and a few good men that formed the genesis of what we know today as the Royal Bahamas Defence Force. Ship wake-up sessions were undertaken in the waters of England prior to engaging the ensuing maiden voyage from England to the Bahamas. About 2 years following that delivery, the Flamingo was destroyed by Cuban-flown Russian MiG fighter jets, approximately 2 miles off Key Santo Domingo on the southern tip of the Columbus Pike, just due south of Ragged Island. During the bombing, 4 of the 19 crewmen were killed. Some of the survivors were also scarred and grazed by missiles and bullets from gunshot firing as they scrambled to survive the swim from the sinking Flamingo to the arrested Cuban fishing vessels. All of the crew and prisoners were taken aboard the operational fishing boat, as the other fishing boat, now dismantled, was abandoned and in the process sank. Under the cover of darkness, the fishing boat, with all personnel in darkened ship mode, navigated its way from the Key Santo Domingo area to the southern coast of Ragged Island. About 2 hours and some 6 miles north of Key Santo Domingo, whilst en route to Ragged Island, the crew witnessed a barrage of star shells. These lit up the key and surrounding area like daylight. Fortunately, due to the vigilance of one Commander Amos Roll and the intuition of one Dusty Miller, they were well away from that vicinity. Upon arrival to Ragged Island, about 0130, that's 1:30 in the morning, Sunday morning, Mother's Day, in 1980, all personnel disembarked and made their way to Duncan Town. Hours later, around 0900 or 9 a.m. on that Sunday, Mother's Day morning, a DC-3 arrived at Ragged Island to transport Flamingo's crew and the prisoners to Nassau. Also along that DC-3 was the Commissioner of Police and the Commander Defense Force, who was Sir Rachel Thompson and William Swinley. They arrived Ragged Island as well. I think they came in a police plane. But soon thereafter, the MiG fighter jets returned. And they started to just fly low around Ragged Island, along with a helicopter and a military transport carrier helicopter, with numerous gunmen, men in camouflage and gun out of Cuba. The Cuban military contingent kept the Bahamian officials from boarding their designated plane for over 3 hours. And only after the American military jets circled Ragged Island, the Cuban transport helo left the airstrip and allowed freedom of movements of us Bahamians in our own island, Ragged Island, to get to the airport, to get on board those planes, and then come to Nassau. The crew and prisoners were then transported to Nassau. And that's the story of how that event took place back then, 44 years ago. And then we have the Flamingo's voyage. They departed Coral Harbor at 1400, and they spent that first night, Thursday, 1400 on Thursday, and that night they anchored off Grain Key. Catch fish, go on ashore, search the key, do the thing we do at Grain Key. They proceeded to and spent the second night at Grinch's Key. That was Friday night. It took a while to get from Grain Key to Grinch's Key, eh? And the next morning, Saturday morning, when they weighed anchor, they passed Key Lobos, and they sighted 2 Cuban fishing vessels, and they were in the ocean headed back home. So they say, okay, that's 2, but they're in the ocean getting home, we ain't gonna bother with them. It would appear that these vessels were advised that patrol boat was heading their way, since they were always in departure mode when Flamingo arrived the areas. Because upon anchoring off Ragged Island, the Führer, Commander Amos Roll, decided to go and check Key Santo Domingo, which was like 30-40 miles south, Excuse me. He met vessels departing that area on arrival. They intercepted those vessels with warning shots. They had to dismantle one of the engines in one of those craft for them to stop. So apparently, the Cuban operators had no regard for Bahamian patrol boat attempting to stop them. They couldn't, they ain't checking. So the vessel was abducted and took in tow toward Key Santo Domingo. Flamingo bombarded and destroyed shortly thereafter by Cuban-make fighter jets. 4 men were killed, our 4 Marines in the process, and another 15 were in the water, scrambling for their lives. Fortunately, they were able to hold on, and they made it. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the story of the 44 years ago attack on HMBS Flamingo. And tonight, I have a recording of that incident and the after effects over the past 44 years from one of the senior men on board that vessel. There were 3 officers, and then leading the pack of readings was our guest tonight that was so strategically interviewed. And you're going to love this interview because this goes beyond and above all the other stuff that was going on, because this is the first time that my guest, Force Chief Petty Officer Peterson James, ever sat down and relayed his bird's eye view of what took place 44 years ago. So last week we had the first session of his interview. Now we have the real brunt of it. This is when Force Chief James was ready to let go and fire as to what took place during this incident. So at this point we go to the break, and when we return, you will be hearing the voices of Force Chief Petty Officer Retired Peterson James and myself, Captain Glenn Bain. There's no calling in. When that is finished, we will be finished. So ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned. Right after the break, you will hear one of the most moving interviews ever on radio here in the Bahamas.
At One-on-One Pharmacy, our friendly staff is ready to serve you. Visit us today for all your prescription and over-the-counter needs at our East Street South or Charles Saunders Highway locations. We're open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and from 9 to 4 on Sundays. In a rush? Send your refill scripts online at oneononepharmacy.com or ask about our convenient pickup service. One-on-One Pharmacy, providing personal health care with people at heart. At Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited, we offer first-class maritime security services throughout the Bahamas and the wider Caribbean. As experts in maritime security, we specialize in production of ISPS assessments and plans, verification audits, certified familiarization training, and port security consultancy, just to name a few. Our services also include provision of a security force to maintain all required ISPS facility security compliance. For all your maritime security needs, visit us today in Nassau at our East Street South location or in Freeport in the Kipling Building. Call us at 392-3515 or follow us on all social media platforms. Bahamas Maritime Connection, your leader in maritime security. Let's help you make the connection.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in. Then I'll watch them roll.
Welcome back to Maritime Matters. As you know, this is May, and during the month of May, everything is put off because the month of May happened to be the month when the Cuban MiGs attacked and destroyed our flagship, the HMBS Flamingo. Well, Marlin was a flagship, but they were sister ships. Attacked the HMBS Flamingo, and with us tonight is one of the critical members on board the HMBS Flamingo during that attack. He was in mid-management. You had the officers, you had the mid-management, and then you had the ratings, or the junior rates. And one of the mid-managers or senior rates was Force Chief Petty Officer retired, Mr. Peterson James. Peterson James was a former police marine. When the police started up the marine unit, and they bought those 4 vessels, the Luthra, the Acklins, San Salvador, and the Andres, Peterson James would have been transferred to that area. So from the time they were here in the very early 70s, Peterson James was on those vessels. And when the police marines became the defense force in 1980, he would have transferred from the police marine to the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. And Mr. James would be one of the 19 on board the Flamingo during that attack. And tonight he's going to share some of his experience during that very drastic events. So, Force Chief Peterson James.
Yes, sir.
Welcome again to Maritime Matters. And I'm going to just give you the floor to say, through your bird's eye view, from your perspective, exactly let us know what you want us to know about that particular incident, the sinking of the HMBS Flamingo.
Thank you, sir, and welcome everyone. I retired in 94, and so it's been almost 30 years. But I will never forget the 10th of May, 1980. That was the day when everyone involved, the nation, the crew members of the boat, moving forward, everybody was caught up in an event that was life-changing for many people. The nation in particular, because after the incident took place and the nation became more patriotic. They wanted to, many of the parents wanted to allow their children to join the defense force. It was a change atmosphere. But on the day in question, I was a witness to some things, and I was at a point where seeing all these things it was like watching a war movie with the plane and the bullets. You could see all of that from where I was on one of the fishing boats. I was in the mid-management. We had already made the arrests, and then all of this happened. So I was able to see. I had responsibility for the 8 Cuban crewmen. I did whatever I thought was necessary to show the MiG fighter that these people were not harmed in any way. They were still alive. I did that by putting them on the bow of the boat. But at the end of the day, as we moved forward and all the shooting stopped, and all I could see in the water was the inflated life rafts, I could see what was happening. Some of the young men the crew member was swimming toward the boat that I was on. I was at a loss to what was happening. You got to experience it to really understand it. But the only thing I could have done, I said the 23rd Psalm, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." And after I said that, that brought peace. And from moving forward from that point, I was in better command. I was able to do what was necessary. As the young men came, some of them as far as the boat, to just reach them, give them that hand to pull them back on board. And a lot of people were saved, and at the end of the day, the authorities recognized the part I played, and they gave me a Purple Heart, and I appreciate that. But when I got home, it would have been that Sunday, the following day, after we had gotten away from the Cuban helicopter that was flying over Ragged Island for a period of time, and they were there until the United States airplanes, they came and the helicopters went away. In reflection, I really think that if on the 10th, as we were moving away from the area, and we saw the helicopter flying over with all the lights in them, I felt that if they had found us, they would have killed all of us. I am convinced of that. But thanks be to God, it didn't happen. That way we were able to reach Ragged Island. Communication was not what it is today. One of the regrets I had, I always say, boy, I wish we had the cell phone. Then now it would do away with a lot of hardship, because on the Sunday when I came home, I met my wife, and she was surprised to see me. She was all crying. She was pregnant at the time, because between the time the incident happened and the time I got home, she had gotten information from our neighbor, who was Corporal Green Slade, who was a radio operator. So she felt that she really thought I was one of the numbers that died. So that was really a reunion between my wife and myself. She was pregnant at the time, and as you've heard already, I named my son Fenric David. I did that because I felt a closeness to those young men. At the time I was 29 or thereabouts, but they had a good future. They were hard-working, striving young men. And I will tell you honestly that my wife got pregnant after the incident, and my heart was to name, if it was boy children, to name that child after the two other men that were killed in the incident. But as it was, we went back to work after that Sunday when we came in from Ragged Island. It was back to work. They had a debriefing, and we were given, I remember that I was allowed to go home. I'm going to say a week, because that's what comes to mind. I didn't have to go to work, but after that week, I had to go back to work. And I didn't have any problem with that, because I saw it as necessary. So I went back to work, but the other people were affected in a negative way. A number of the young men, I say young men because most of the crew at that time were young men. I was 28, 29 myself. These were young men just out of school. So we went back, we did the debriefing, we got some time off. When we came back, it was like more or less business as usual. We prepare for the court proceedings. And true, it wasn't like today when there was a lot of media attention. We were not allowed to talk to anyone. And I have no problem with that because I probably didn't feel like talking to anyone. That's the truth. But we did, when it was time to go to court and give an account of what happened, the young men stood up to the task. Those who had something to contribute, they would call on the oath. And because of what they said, it resulted in the world condemning Cuba for their act of violence against an independent sovereign nation that didn't have the ability in any way to defend itself. Because in today's world, something like that happened to another nation that has the capability, that would create an extension. They would just go to war with that. Because 4 of their citizens were killed. That might be sort of far-fetched, but we all know how the world operates today. So we went back. I remember that one of the things that happened, the captain at the time, who was an English officer, we were told to write a list of items that we lost. So we made out a list. My list included my little radio and other little bits and pieces. But it wasn't long after that another memo came out that said, in future, when something like this happened, you wouldn't be compensated for these items because they ain't job related. So that was hard, but I was young and committed to what I was doing, to my job. But what has been the problem? The authorities have, over the years, tried to do things at different times to keep the what happened alive. They have tried to do it, but part of the reason I came on the program was to say to them that, as someone who had gone through it all, and someone who still has feeling toward what happened, unless they do things that are meaningful, that involve the next generation, the time would soon come when the old generation had had all this experience. When they have gone on to their reward, chances are the younger people, because they don't have a commitment to what has happened, and they don't have the older people to say, let's go, they're not going to come. So the audience would be people who have no attachment to what happened, who don't know the story. Like my children, I told them what happened. They were the people who I explained it to, because I never talked to the press. No one was allowed to speak to the press about what happened. All the reports, everything, only what was known was what was said in the court setting. So the authorities have to prepare it so that the next generation would have a mindset to want to take it forward. And I think they're moved in a good direction, Captain.
Yeah.
They've moved in a good direction.
They're moving now,
because
like they didn't move in the past.
Yes. Last year, the survivors were invited to the House of Assembly.
Right.
And
they had a ceremony in Russell Square.
Yes, that was
Last year,
a big one. But part of that was they made legislation,
right,
that every year in the government schools,
in the school system.
Yeah, they would have on the 10th of May, they would have an assembly.
Oh, they'll have a ceremony during the assembly.
Yes, to commemorate
what
happened.
The 10th of May.
That's a good step.
Yes.
That's a necessary step, because there are people who have gone through the school system and didn't know about
That's right.
the Flamingo incident.
They didn't know. Unlike people like myself who were old enough to interpret what took place, because I was already in high school,
Yeah.
we would have lived it. But those that were in primary school, obviously they wouldn't be focusing on anything. They wouldn't understand it.
No.
And those who came afterwards, I say those who were not in school at all, like my children and your children, unless they heard it from us, they would not hear it anywhere at all. So now that we're starting to have commemoration and that type of thing in a more public way,
Yeah.
I think that the nation is now starting to be educated about it. And when I say educated, even those that were around and knew about it when the incident took place didn't realize that you men that went through that didn't get any compensation, any reparation, and I dare say no real recognition, because all the way back there, that is perhaps one of the soundest moments in the history of this country.
You're right.
And though that's the case, there's nothing taught about it in schools. There's no building to remind people of it. You'll have to go all the way on the Defense Force base, which anybody can't just go on the base.
No.
You'll have to be invited there. There are no streets carrying the names of any of you. There were 4 ships that carried the 4 men that got killed, but those ships came in over 30 years old, so they didn't last very long.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I am pushing from my perspective with the little weight that I have,
Yes.
by way of the show, to try and at least get Coral Harbor Roundabout to be the Flamingo Roundabout.
Okay.
And anybody going that way to the airport or to Albany or to the oil major companies out there, or even people who live in Adelaide,
Okay.
they would have to pass that every day. They would see that. And there's something there. And I also want them to put something downtown.
Okay.
I mean, we have the bus of Samilo Butler downtown.
Yes.
There's no reason why we can't have a replica of the Flamingo downtown, so that the tourists would see it and they would want to know, what is that all about? The tourists would now be able to learn that this is a ship that was sunk by Cuban makes in a peacetime situation.
Right.
4 men were killed, and the other men had to swim for their lives, because that is a significant story and a huge part of our history that really should be brought forward more than anything else.
True.
In my opinion, that is the biggest story of this country. You know, we've had independence like every other country would have. We've had prime ministers like every other country would have. And all the rest of those things that we kind of recognize. All countries have these things. All countries do not have a history of a patrol boat or one of their armed forces being attacked in peacetime by war aircraft or by anything from war. So, you know, my thing is, we need to see this thing for what it is, and we need to, in hindsight, pay the proper reparations, pay the proper exposure, and ensure that the names of every man that was on that ship is on one of our major thoroughfares on the island of New Providence. And for the ones that came from Hatchet Bay, it was a handful of people from Hatchet Bay. Mm-hmm. It was Dusty Miller, it was Cladwell, who lives there now. Mm-hmm. It was also Denzel Clark.
Okay.
They're all from Hatchet Bay.
So you need to have streets throughout Eleuthera with at least one of their names on it. And you know, these are things that we should have done by now. It has been too long for this situation to remain as it is. They are starting to give some exposure to it. And you mentioned earlier that they actually muzzle you guys from talking about this.
Well, that was protocol that at the time, and remember the British were in charge. So I blame it if that was the wrong thing.
But did they tell you all not to talk about it?
Well, they didn't.
Well, I know you couldn't go to the press.
When you mean like talk about it, like you were my friend, I could say, boy, you know what happened. Yeah, we couldn't go. We couldn't give an interview.
Okay, you couldn't give anything to the press.
Yeah, if
official
reporter came to me and say, what about it?
Yeah, but
I wasn't allowed to say anything.
Yeah.
So I don't really fault them. See that today we live in a media world.
But there wasn't much talk about that on the job, though, because like I said, I didn't even know the people involved I actually work with on a day-to-day basis because they didn't speak about it.
Well,
and I don't think they were told not to. I don't think they were told not to. But for some reason, in my mind, after knowing what I know, it seemed to be a bit taboo.
Okay. I think since I lived through it, I'm going to say we were told not to talk to the press about it.
Right. And I think I can understand why.
That is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's protocol. Even if you have an incident today.
Yeah, but
you have your press. Your people who are trained to deal with the press.
Right.
You want them to talk with the press. And plus, like you say, it was a court matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And keep in mind now that incident brought the world, reporters from all over the world.
Yes, it did.
We were the center of attention for that period.
Yes. Because what you had to say will determine where the Cubans got fought.
Because the world saw it like a David Goliath.
And it was.
You see?
It was a military attack
and it was
on a patrol boat.
A sovereign nation being attacked
for doing a job.
And keep in mind, Cuba wasn't really the friend of the world 40
40
years ago because
they were communists.
They were under the communist influence.
Yeah.
So that got a lot of attention. Mm-hmm. But let me move. I said that part of the reason I agreed to say this is that I want to prepare so that the memory would live on, and I submit that it only live on if something is done to influence the young people that related to the family. Edward Williams, I stand to be corrected. He had children.
Eddie had 2 children.
All right.
Right.
They are now adults today.
They are now adults, and I'm still going to be reaching out to try and get them on my show.
To his credit,
every
time I'm there, he's there.
That's right.
I stand. That's my evidence.
Yeah.
He's always there. Every time there's any function, you find all Mrs. Smith is there.
Yes.
They are there.
Yeah.
They
want to be there.
They have a heart for what happened.
Yes.
If something isn't done to encourage the younger generation, when they are no longer told, you have to go because your daddy was a part of this.
Daddy suffered as a result of this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Then now, it stands to reason that they wouldn't come. So yes, you'll always have people in attendance.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't have the core people, the people who could identify.
People that really matters, yeah.
And that is why I took the time intentionally to bring Fenric, who was born during that period. My wife was pregnant with him, along with his son.
That's correct.
To be a part of what is going to happen during this cycle, moving forward. I have even gone, and this is what I want to say, one of the medals that they gave me, because there was a time when they gave us medals. I got a Purple Heart, and I've gone to the extent to give this to my grandson. He's 10.
Mm-hmm.
I say, son, this belongs to you.
Right. This what your granddaddy achieved. Yeah.
I was a part of this. This is my legacy.
Yes.
And he's gonna see. He's here, and he's gonna see what happens. I want to encourage him that when he becomes a man, the 10th of May would have meaning to him. He would reflect
my granddaddy was
on
that. Yes.
what I did.
Yeah. So
for the
what
nation.
does that Purple Heart signify? Because I don't know much about medals. I never got one. What does that Purple Heart signify? I know you would have gotten a few different medals.
I got this. This is the prize one.
Okay.
Here's what I am linked to.
Mm-hmm.
On the day in question, I went that extra mile
You did, yeah.
to assist.
Based on what I read.
Yeah, I put myself out on the limit.
Yes.
Whether I was the person that was responsible for steering the boat as we moved toward Ragged Island, while Dusty was smoking the cigarette to allow some type of light, because that is all we had. Whether it was that, or seeing that once they got to Ragged Island, the Sunday when the helicopter
Came around.
yeah, when it was flying over.
Yes.
And I remember Commander Rose saying to me, Force Chief, don't let anyone enter this building. Any unauthorized person.
Mm-hmm.
And I was prepared to do anything necessary to prevent that.
Right, right. Now, I mean, just to touch up a little on Commander Amos' role and his ability to keep that crew together in times like this. Based on what I read, he was the very last person to leave the ship.
I understand that. So I was.
And the crew had so much respect for him that they when their life is on the line, it's no big deal because they all look out for each other. Because all ships didn't have that camaraderie. And the people I spoke with spoke so highly of him as a captain that when my show first started 2.5 years ago, he was one of 4 maritime persons that I see as heroes in the maritime world. And it was Amos Roll, and there was another Exomian by the name of Leon Flowers. He was the first Bahamian port controller, and he carried that well. It was Sir Derwent Knowles who would have gotten the first medal, Olympic medal in the country. And I think he got a gold, and then he got a gold also in the World Championships, and a bronze in the World Championships. So he got, and the 4th person would have been our sailing champion, Rolly Gray. Those are my 4 maritime most outstanding, as far as I know, from the time I was born in the Bahamas. And then it's the rest of the Flamingo crew. Because what you all went through, nobody else probably would ever go through that are Bahamians in the Bahamas.
I hope that no one ever.
I hope that they
experienced
never ever see that again.
That was a war situation.
It was like you say, it was aggression that was totally uncalled for. And
there was no need for it.
And I'm reading your Purple Heart. I need 2 glasses to see this. Writing is kind of small, right? But do you know? You must know what this writing says.
Yes, sir. I had that for a number of years.
I almost can't believe what this writing says. It says traumatic service.
Yeah.
Traumatic.
Yes, sir.
So, if they're giving you a medal saying that you went through traumatic service, I would think that automatically that comes with reparation. Because they know you've been through that trauma. Now, see, when somebody goes to war, and somebody throw this question, them fellas go to war, they don't get nothing. When you go to war, you are trained for war. When you go out to war, you are equally prepared Whatever the enemy have, you basically have. This was not a wartime situation where we had MiG jets, or we had destroyers, or we had surface-to-air missiles. We had no defense against that attack. We were not trained to defend against a warplane attack. We were not trained, our ship was not prepared for it. So basically you guys were sitting ducks. And you fared better than most sitting ducks would fare. Because out of the 19, only 4 actually died on impact.
That's an act of God.
That is an
Captain,
amazing. I am still trying to figure out
God didn't need to be in.
all of those men in the water swimming, and men have scars.
Yeah.
I know some of them who still have scars where bullet just grazed their skin and just whisked past them. The coverall was on fire from the bullet coming that close to them, and around them things are just falling apart. The dory cradle just melt. You know, I have stories of men on board that ship during that attack. Cladwell said all the radios fell. He just barely got out of the way in time. Otherwise, he would have been trapped. Climbing up the steps, they started to melt. So it's amazing how only 4 men died.
Okay. That is an act of God. All right. There were at least 15 more that could have died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just through panic.
No one was prepared for that, you know.
No.
When
You couldn't be.
See, in a military conflict, you go out believing that the next person is the enemy.
Yes.
In turn,
You're prepared to see an enemy.
Yeah.
You're looking for an enemy.
He's the one that can kill me. I gotta kill him
You gotta
first.
kill him first. And you're looking for him and he's looking for you.
I don't see a drug person as an enemy.
No, because they don't have the kind of artillery we have, and that's
Right.
why we equip
But-
ourselves to overpower them.
If for some reason anyone is killed by a drug person, that's acceptable.
Yes.
You see,
Because you expect them to be out there.
right, and I expect him to have some kind of protection to
Yes,
prevent me from doing the law.
Exactly.
All right, but in this case, there was an unseen enemy with a purpose.
Yeah.
We had arrested. Most people know it. We had arrested Cubans out of Cuba on a number of occasions.
All the time. Yeah. That
And
was a routine.
already happened. They were bought.
Excuse me.
The fish was
Confiscated. Yeah.
confiscated. That's the big word. They were allowed to go with the boat because the nation.
We know that was the Cuban government.
Yeah, that was the government property. So they never lose in that case because if you catch them one time,
Yeah.
50 times you catch
You
them.
catch them. You just take the fish and they go back home.
But let's go back to. I brought my Fenric and he brought it to him. All right,
Yeah.
they came. They want to be a part of this
Yes.
because I strongly believe that if something isn't done, then you might say, "Brother James, if you got you provide some solution."
Yeah.
Yeah, there are things.
In hindsight, what you think our country could do in moving forward as far as taking the right direction or the best direction
To
pertaining to this matter?
To encourage the young people to feel a part of and want the desire to go. Education is the key.
Education is the key, and
We-
exposure.
We know that at least Edward had 2 children, and by now that number has grown.
Yeah. Yes.
We know who they are.
We have grandchildren now. if
we
still-
know where they
still
are.
alive. Yes, we can find them.
Government, erase government, those in authority
Yeah.
could seek these young people out and provide scholarship help, education help.
Yeah. That could be
Who is
readily
it to
done.
say that there isn't among them with brilliance that has the potential to be great,
Just
but
need
don't
some
have the
support.
money to do it?
Just need the support. And
So set
they would have had that support had they gotten the ample reparations that should have been paid
but
as
that
a result
that
of,
didn't happen.
But it ain't too late, though.
They could. It's never too late.
Never too late.
To do what is right.
Correct. Correct.
So that is one way. Reach out to. There might be a nephew.
Yes.
There might be Fenric nephew. You know who he is. Reach out to him and make some provision for him.
Reach out, yeah.
That person gonna have children in the future if life lasts. You see, so that is how. And there are other ways. I don't have the solution to everything, but that is just a suggestion to more or less guarantee
Yes.
that the audience in the future would be people who has a heart for what has happened.
Who has a link and a reason
And
to have a heart, yeah.
That's exactly right. Now you mentioned Commander Roll.
Yeah.
I knew Commander Roll from since he took up command.
The police marine.
On the police marine.
That's correct.
Him and Howard Smith.
Casey Smith, yes.
He was second in command. So we've been together a long time.
Okay.
I think it's true to say that I gave him the nickname Führer.
Oh, it was you? I wasn't you recalling me referred to him as the Führer.
Full disclosure.
Okay.
He was a great man.
Yeah.
There were times when Captain Roll would do something that he know it wasn't fair with me. All right, no? Because I was always like before I became the coxswain. I always worked with him in that capacity.
Oh.
Like, Constable James, see that this is done, that is done.
Yeah.
And if he made a decision, and after a while he think it over, he called me down in the 60 footers. You know how that was.
Yeah, the wardroom area.
Yeah. And he said, "Boy, I sorry about that."
He apologized to you.
That is true.
Because he had a conscience. Yeah.
So I had a heart for him.
Okay.
And I'm going to say this, what I'm about to say, I hope it never happens again. I only want to say whatever I say here so that it could be something that people who are listening to this program, who have the ability to make change, to see that, boy, don't want that to happen to nobody else. Commander Roll died quite recently.
Yeah, I was at the funeral.
You were able to do what I was deprived of doing.
Right.
Do you know that I called the veterans officer and I said I needed help to get to Nassau.
Right, to attend the funeral.
Yeah. She said to me, I would have to put that in writing, make a request in writing. I said, but I requested now. She said, you'll have to put it in writing. And I didn't move forward with it. I felt,
you shouldn't have gone through that.
There should be enough money.
They should have been calling you.
They should be calling us and saying, how could we allow you to get to bring there?
That is still alive, they should have been calling.
I was hyped.
But I could tell you something pertaining to this.
Go ahead.
Commander Roll was dealt really sloppy hand.
Okay.
All of what he went through on that ship was wiped away. Because even at his funeral, the Defense Force did not pay him proper homage for being the captain of the Flamingo, the worst incident in the history of this country. At his funeral. And things like that bother me. We know that there was some situation with the Norman's Key thing, and he was forced to resign, because when he was forced to resign, he called all of us, because he was the captain of Coral Harbor. He was next in line to Leon Smith, who was the Commodore. He called us in his office, captain office. Us, as in all the junior, the officers below him.
Okay.
He called the entire officer. All of us came and he said, gentlemen, I'm being pressed to resign, and I'm going to take, I'm going to resign.
Okay.
As a result. Okay. So I'll be out of here. I didn't want it to happen this way. I couldn't see it happening this way. This is my career. I love this job. I love what I do. But the powers that be is telling me that I have to resign, and I have to call all of you and let you know that I'm leaving.
Okay, that's the right thing.
Yes, and it really touched me.
Okay.
But because all of that happened, should not stop the country from paying him homage for what he did on the day of the 10th of May 1980. Because all of this stuff happened long after that. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was such a polished officer all along. So to go out like that, to me, and not only him, Dusty Miller.
Oh, Dusty, yeah.
You know, well, of course, I was advised that part of the reason why Dusty started to drink a lot was because of that incident.
That could be, you
right?
Could be absolutely right.
And it's the impact it had that caused him to just drink a lot. And of course, he became an alcoholic. And later on, he would bow out, and never got reparation, never got recognition. But yet,
did he get a pension at the end of the day?
Well, I think he retired, so he's able to get a pension.
So he got,
right?
Okay.
But everybody who retires gets a pension. So as far as I'm concerned, that's no big deal for what he went through and what he did.
Okay.
Because you was on board, and I don't know if you know, but according to all the research I did, the ship couldn't steer. The Cubans had taken out the fishing boat couldn't steer because they taken out the steering pin to dismantle it, so that it would be there whenever the airplanes came back,
mm-hmm.
and that's why they expected them to still be there.
Mm-hmm.
And Dusty was able to solve that problem.
Let me inject this. He was a brilliant mechanic.
I was told by everybody he was.
Oh yeah,
he was just a sharp mechanic.
Dusty, if my memory serves me right,
Mm-hmm.
he went with us to bring the boat from England.
Right. He was one of the mechanics.
He was a brilliant.
When the boat was brand new, yeah.
Yeah, we did the shake up 3 months over in England. Let me just say, I appreciate the Defense Force for the exposure that I got. I went places that if I was not a member of the Defense Force, I couldn't afford to go.
That's right.
That's why I feel strongly that, look, based from where I sit and what I'm hearing,
mm-hmm.
a couple of things has to be done.
All right?
Some right has to be made, and some adjustment. In a case like I outlined, I have no reason to not speak the truth.
Right.
I should not be they shouldn't tell me I have to request in writing.
No, you should have been telling them you can't make it.
Because of the, what, and there were other times that happened to me personally, but I'm not here. I don't have any, it's just my nature. I just move on.
But what I hope moving forward for us, Chief,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I hope that any time, because we've lost those 4 on impact.
Yes,
we've
sir.
lost 4 since that.
Yeah.
There's 11 left. And I would hope that anytime one of those 11 dies,
Okay.
it's a big deal.
I agree.
It's a flamingo deal. The Defense Force recognizes that and treats that as one of those men who was on the Flamingo under that unfair attack.
Yes, sir.
And they reach out to all the other 10 members, and in the case when 3 or 4 died, whatever 6, whoever left, and wherever you are, they bring you in. Right? Because it's that significant. And like I say, at the end of the day, there will be a time when there's none left.
Mm-hmm.
And 100 years down the road from today, this thing may be so big
Mm-hmm.
that people then would be like, well, why didn't do anything for these guys?
Yeah.
But it's too late because all of y'all are gone. So while some of y'all are still here, I will push, and there are other people pushing.
Yeah.
Not only for reparation, but recognition in the biggest way. Street names, building names. This is what we need to do, because we need to signify not only that event, but the people who went through it. Both of them. The event needs to be far more exposed. Books should be written by the Defense Force. They got all the information. They could go on and interview people like yourself and the other 10 that are still living if they want to really brush up on it. And I'm sure you all will be more than happy to cooperate if you know that this is what they're trying to do. Right? They're trying to really get this into the schools. So they're going to make a manual that the schools can use as a literature piece.
Okay.
It's now anchored in history. It's in the schools, and it's going to live on.
Let me inject this. You did a program recently where you outlined the whole event.
Yes. The entire event.
The entire event.
They left Coral Harbor at 1400.
In a way that
Thursday.
I myself didn't remember or understood. Now that it's law that on the 10th of May, in all schools, there'll be a memorial service
On assembly.
I let me say this to you. If you can get the script and put it in a booklet form, that's 10 pages or whatever, and on every occasion,
Every school
they
can
just
have that to
distribute to the children. This is a way that they read the information
And keep it.
and they'll keep it, and they'll have a better understanding. And they too, see, there's a part of man that if you touch me, all right, you touch them.
Yes. You're right.
That's the human nature.
You're right. And this is the way America does it.
Yeah.
This is the way Britain does it. They write their stories and they put it in the school for their citizens from a very early age to understand and grasp.
Yeah. They would that would even bring, see, we're talking about the next generation.
We talk about
The people
future
who
generation.
gonna be there.
Make this a part of the school curriculum.
Yeah. Give them the information. You say, well, on the computer, for you did all the hard work. Give them it in a booklet form.
Yeah.
On every year, on every occasion, that is a part. So from every generation.
It passes on.
Right. My point exactly. Most people could understand what I'm saying. There's, even though it's 40 years gone, there's still a camaraderie among the survivors.
Oh yeah.
We don't see one another every day.
Right.
But my experience has been, several years ago, I injured my wrist. True account. I had to go to Grand Bahama.
To the hospital.
Yeah, to have surgery done.
Right.
And do you know, but 3 or 4 of the survivors showed up?
At the Rand Memorial?
True.
Wow.
They say, force me here. I didn't tell them. Somebody told them.
And they showed up.
But they came.
That's amazing.
I got men like Willard Sanders. Willard say, force, anytime you will come to Andrews where he is.
Oh, that's where Willard is now?
To the best of my knowledge.
I didn't know where he was.
Willard was Kirby's best friend.
Oh, okay.
They were like inseparable. They worked
I
in the
didn't even
kitchen.
know that. Yeah, two of them were cooks.
Yeah, and my point is, we have been binded together by what happened.
Yes.
And then when there's an occasion, they would rally because they came to me.
But for us, you got to
Go
remember
ahead.
that you, 15, well now 11,
Yeah.
are the only persons in this country that experience that.
Yes, sir.
So if you all will have to be together and binding because you all have a common experience.
Yeah. Life lasts.
Until life, as long as life lasts, that experience will keep you guys bonded.
That's right. That's why I on when Kirby died,
Yeah.
I paid my way.
Yeah.
I wanted to be there. Kirby was my good buddy. Yeah.
You were like their father figure.
Yeah. There might have been another one person that I paid my way.
Yeah.
So I didn't come to the Ford died. And I gave you the reason why I didn't come to Commander Amos.
Yeah, because they didn't give you the option.
I felt that is something they could have done to help me. And whatever I say to you, I don't speak from a position of lack.
Right. Well, I know.
All right.
I know. And you was
I don't
you was
speak.
always so easily satisfied. You make it. It's not difficult for you to satisfy yourself in life.
Yeah, and I don't. But whatever I get from government now ain't adequate.
And never gonna be adequate. So you have to make your own way.
The $1,000 that I get a month, and you wouldn't believe that after paying certain bills,
That finished.
that is gone.
Yeah.
I live. My children, they support me, but there is never a time that if I have a need for something,
It's not there.
I say, Fenwick, say, Daddy, what you need? That can be his next response.
Yeah.
But I think the time has come. The leaders have done what they thought was right. They've gone as far.
I'm not sure.
No, but
they've done
allow
what
me
they
to
thought
say,
was right. Yeah.
allow me to say this. Like I say, on a couple of occasions, they had events where they gave awards. They gave the last one they had there was a trophy with the four men that were killed in the incident. Each of us got a one.
Okay.
A time there were stamps being issued, and last in 22 or thereabouts, all of us were given the honor of being
Yes. King's honor.
no,
What was
it's national heroes.
National Heroes
Yeah,
honor.
that is an honor. There's nothing greater than that in the country.
Well, I
That the country
I would
can give.
beg to defer. Well, that the country gives, but they give people in the country recommend to
Okay.
the Buckingham Palace,
Yeah.
right?
But let-
You guys should be knighted.
Well,
Why would somebody else get a knighthood and didn't go through anything like what you all went through?
my point is saying that leading up to that, to giving the National Hero Award, the minister responsible in a setting, he said, he was referring to the survivors. He said, "We are not going to forget you." Now, those might be his exact words, but hear me. When he said that, you know what came to my mind? This is probably the time when the government is going to, what's that big word you like to use?
Reparation?
Yeah, they would
They're
give
gonna find a way to give
reparation.
you reparation?
I thought that is what he was talking about.
You talk about
But hear me out.
Deputy Prime Minister I. Chester Cooper.
No, I'm talking about the minister
Wayne
Monroe.
Okay, all right. This is last year or year before?
He was addressing setting.
House of Assembly?
No, I think it was a police function like the annual service.
I see. Okay. Or police parade. Police
Yeah,
annual parade,
I remember him saying that,
Okay.
and that activated something in me. Is this the time that they're going to give us some reparation? I keep mixing up that word,
Reparation.
but yeah.
But you know for us.
But
Go ahead,
let me finish this trying to
finish
talk.
that, yeah.
But I wasn't alone in that. I talked to other people because I got Kirby number and all that.
Right.
Not oh Lord, bless me. Caddy. Me and him be
Oh, Cadwell.
Yeah, Cadwell. Because he's building a monument in Eleuthera.
He told me he's
Yeah,
trying to get
I know.
them to build a statue, a monument.
He's doing something.
Basically for those three, yeah.
All right, I talked to a couple of them based on what I heard.
Yes.
I heard that.
Yeah.
Now, if I misunderstood it, then now I need to say I apologize. But until that time, I heard that, and it stirred up in me that, okay, this is the time, after all these years.
Right.
Because I mentioned it to Cadwell. I said, "You here?" He said, "Yeah." I said, and he agreed with me. All right? So there was a spirit that ignited a spirit of expectation.
But you know,
All right. So when we got the award, yes, I often tell people there's no more award in this life for me. The award of being a national hero, is something I could live with. It brings me, hear me out, it brings me from the point of being a young man raised without a father, selling Guardian and all that. And now
shoe shine and all those the things we had to do back in the day.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Now to other people it has other meaning.
Yes.
To me it meant that I have gone the pinnacle.
Yes, in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
Achieving.
Yeah. But
I'll tell you what happened to me.
If I forget, see, I don't have a script.
No, man, go ahead.
I don't have a script, so what I'm saying, as things come
you
into my thinking,
go right ahead.
I'm going to say it because I'm trying to help other people. When the similar decisions are made, perhaps somebody hear this and say, now, somebody, this affected them too.
But you know you've always been that way. You've always tried. You remember Jonah and Delman?
Yeah. But I always talk about them.
Delman is a police, eh? Delman went on the police force.
Really?
Yeah, Jonathan is still with the defense.
Delman was a good man.
I know he was your right hand.
He knew every name in the defense force.
He knew every number, every name.
If I had a doubt about something, and I said, Delman, is this true? If it's true, and he said it's true,
you know it's true.
I ain't gonna question now.
No, he was one thing. He ain't answer unless he's sure. That's how he was.
He was.
Yeah. But y'all had a good team, though.
But it was a good team. Mm-hmm. But I'm moving toward a point, and I only say this so that if it happened again, somebody could prevent it.
Yes.
The prince, soon to be king, God willing, visited Abaco.
Okay.
Yeah, you look surprised.
No, I didn't know. You're talking about since the queen died?
No, the queen was living.
Okay, that's before the queen died.
Was she dead or living? Anyhow, he came.
But you're talking about King Charles now, or you're talking about his son?
I talking about his son, the soon to be king.
Well, we ain't know if he may die before you're a man.
Well, he's next in line.
Yeah.
Anyhow, here's my point. When I heard he was coming to Abaco,
right,
I was excited.
Yes.
Because I said, now I am a retired survivor of the Flamingo.
Yes.
Somebody can remember my name and send me an invitation. Say, Force, you retired. You invited to, just give me a piece of paper.
But this is the reason why they need to knight you all. Because if you were knighted, as you justly should be, that he will come and he will find all those people that were knighted by Buckingham Palace.
Yeah, but
you will automatically be invited to everything, especially if you come to Africa.
My desire, see, if something like that, if I was a part of that, it wouldn't have cost government nothing.
No.
Because I live in Abaco.
I understand.
But I couldn't go unless I had an invitation.
Exactly.
There are people who look after veterans' interests. They should have thought that this is a good opportunity to give him a memory, an exposure, a lifetime.
But you're not only a veteran. See, I'm a veteran. You're not me. What you've gone through, I didn't go through.
Well,
see, 19 people went through. Well, not 9. 4 of them died.
Good.
But 15 people, what you all went through.
Yeah.
Nobody else in the defense force could claim that.
No. But
and there's no reason why all 19 should not be knighted.
Okay. I see there are things that are going to happen. That is going to happen because of your effort.
Well, I would hope.
Just like
I would hope my effort caused just due to happen.
Yeah, it takes someone who has enough passion.
Well, who could understand the whole thing too?
Who was a part of the system.
I live a little bit of that.
Who know the caddies, findings, and
yes.
to move it forward.
Yes.
In terms of rank, you left as a captain.
No, well, I left as a lieutenant commander, actually.
Lieutenant commander.
But I became a commercial captain.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So, my point is, probably it's long, but all I would have wanted to be invited to that function. All right? There were people who was responsible to see that happened.
Yeah, to make up the list of people who live in Abaco.
Yeah, other people
that could be relatable to.
And if by chance I was able to meet him up and close and personal And I had said to him, well, I'm Force Chief James, retired. I was a member of the Flamingo. That would resonate with him.
It will. Of course, he would have known.
Because that's the British way. He knows the history.
King Charles
Go ahead.
is a Dartmouth trained officer. He understands these things.
The British people.
And the things they do for the British people. If an incident like this had happened in Britain, right, where it's peacetime, and a French or German or Russian aircraft came over and just made an attack and killed up a few people out on a ship, let's say a offshore patrol boat, right? That didn't have a chance. Every single one of them would have been knighted.
You know, I might be, I'm 72 now, so
that's young.
But yeah.
I don't, because I'm only 10 years younger than you, so I can't call that young.
There are things, as you get older, you'll experience it.
Yes.
There are things that after you get a certain age, it doesn't matter. Even if somebody give it to you, you can't appreciate it.
I'm already there.
See,
I'm already there. And that's why I can speak the way I speak.
Yeah. See.
Because I ain't looking for nothing. You can't give me nothing because I don't care for it.
You don't have to value.
And that's why I can speak the way I speak. And that's why I can speak my passion.
Okay.
And that's why I can speak to the authorities and tell them you are wrong. You need to fix this. Because I ain't want nothing. I mean, what could you do with me? I like you say, I'm 62. I don't need much. I don't look for much. I think I've done well enough so that I can be taken care of. My family can be taken care of based on the hard work I did. Right? But I don't care for much. So I ain't looking for nothing from nobody in power. I know PLP, I know FNM, I know DNA, I ain't none of them because I switch. And I can say that on there.
Yeah, this is your program.
I vote how I feel, and sometimes I get in the booth and change my mind.
Yeah.
Right? So I ain't looking for nothing from nobody. But I would like me being a former member of the Defense Force, me being inspired by the Flamingo incident to join the Defense Force. I would like to see that people who have gone through what you guys have gone through are properly compensated, and their families, as a result of the sacrifice and the punishment that you guys went through, are properly compensated. Right? Reparation is what is needed. Recognition is what is needed.
Okay.
And I will rest until if I could make it happen, it happens.
Okay. It does take one person to get in the presence of the king and make things happen. But my mission, my main purpose for coming here is to give some idea where we are now as a survivor and as a person who have been. I've been to most of the parades over the 40 years. I've probably been to 40 or
they didn't have that much. Yeah.
They didn't start. They didn't start. So I stand corrected. But
you've
from
been
the time it started,
they invited you.
I missed many.
Right.
All right.
Well, I've been to one.
Okay.
And that's the only one I was invited to. That's 2 years ago.
But I want to leave the information that the authorities need to do something with the young people to ensure that the not only that they have a ceremony, but there are people who I could identify.
Right.
Reason number one, I am here to say that the time from the very beginning, the survivors expected to receive some sort of, say that word again for me.
Reparation.
I ain't gonna bother with that.
Say repair. We repairing what we didn't, what was wrong. We're repairing, reparation.
I try, anyhow, thank you. But Cap, seriously, if you listen to I represent them in this matter.
Yes.
As they would expect me to do that.
You used to say your man from
back
then. They all look up to you as a father figure though.
If I talk, if anyone talk to Cadwell, and I can use his name, that is what he looked forward to. Yes. And there are many others who expect to be given, awarded, whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm fairly treated
for their experience,
for
right?
their suffering.
I submit
suffered, yeah.
that some things didn't happen at the time the event happened because we don't know all of the circumstances.
And you were young and didn't know no better.
I probably didn't care.
You didn't care, right? You
Yeah.
just figured you're supposed to serve no matter what.
Yeah.
I go back to work, everything back to normal. But I don't think you even realize the impact that was having on you without you being aware.
The fact that I still remember it. Anytime I talk about it, it
humbles you.
it brings about some of the feelings that I could remember having 40 years ago.
And you speak to the plane flying over and the fellas getting jittery because they recall those makes.
Yeah, that was a traumatic time.
And that's why you got the traumatic award.
Yeah, but there's still something that has to be done, or should be done, or is the right thing to do.
Yes.
And when I repeat this for emphasis, when it was mentioned by the minister that we would not be forgotten, what came to my mind was that they was going to pay some, say that word again for me.
Reparation.
All right. That hasn't happened. Yes, we got the National Hero Award, and yes, I'm using that to my advantage in talking to young people. I have a street ministry. I go into different communities. In fact, I've gone from Crown Haven to Sandy Point. And part of what I say, if you want to.
There you go ahead.
Okay. The part of what I say, while I tell people to prepare their heart to meet God, I speak to the young people and I use that national hero as a,
Yes.
I say to them, I speak to you as a national hero. You gotta not be a part of the problem. You gotta
You're part of the solution
bring.
now.
That is exactly right.
Yes.
You gotta do what you can because you are the next generation. I use that position because when you have position, you could tell somebody who's, they listen to you more. You say you got an LLB in law.
You get more respect.
Yeah. So I'm using that, and throughout wherever I go, to in addition to tell them that there's a time that Jesus is going to come back, to tell them also while they remain, to live their lives and try to be a part of the solution. So that is to the benefit, but I still look forward to the day. And time won't allow, I'm not going to go much longer. I want to say, I still look forward to the day when everything that I've said, everything that has been said, everything that you have suggested, that it all be examined with the intent of making correction. I don't want ever to someone who wants to attend a funeral, my funeral for example, okay, me, right. I did.
Right.
And they say to the veteran officer, could you sponsor me a ticket to go to Forestry funeral? And they say, make a request.
Yeah, you can put it in writing.
Because in writing. Because when you say that to someone, they know that's a laborious thing. You're going to be, that can be a lot of obstacles. Because this one got to approve it, the next one. Go to the canteen and take out $200.
That's it. That's why they have those funds.
Yeah.
For that
and I wouldn't want a dignitary, whether it be some great person, come to Andres.
Yeah.
And they let Sanders is invited.
Yeah, because they don't give it that much priority.
No, people should be. There are people who are being paid to look after our interests.
But why shouldn't Willard Sanders and Cadwell Farrington, while they're on those islands, be knighted?
Well, I can leave.
Why can't we say, so Willard, so Cladwell, and so. Well, not James, the first name. Peterson.
I gotta leave that.
That's how it goes.
I gotta leave that to
To those that
to you to promote it.
Oh, I've been promoting.
All right.
I ain't gonna stop promoting it either.
And let's see what they would do. See, I say this because I'm free to say it. Pastor Father Campbell.
Oh yeah.
You remember?
Sebastian Campbell. Yeah.
He always said that. Look, we shouldn't have a Columbus Day. We should have a National Hero Day.
Yeah.
And today we have a National Hero Day.
Yes, that's right.
All right.
So and, the agitation starts from somewhere.
Yeah. So for me, knighthood.
Well,
I could use a national hero to change my community by saying to the young people, I started life just like you. Yeah, I didn't have a father. My daddy died. One mother. Didn't have much education, but I used what I had. And now, through a series of guidance, because it was God who put in my heart to join the police force. It was Him that,
rescue you guys.
Yeah, somebody told me, reminded me that I was in the water for a long period of time. I could have been dead a long time. Yeah. I could have died during the Flamingo incident.
Yeah,
I could have died on that occasion, but God have me perhaps even extended it so I could say what I'm saying.
So you could bring it to the nation.
Yeah, to say something that people knew all along or taught all along.
Yes.
Because everyone taught that we were compensated because we were attacked by an enemy force.
Yeah.
And it isn't true. We were not given any monetary
benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I want to leave. And
no compensation. Yeah.
Finally, I would say what I said perhaps 2 or 3 times. It's never too late to do what is right.
Never too late. And this country owes you all a lot.
And while I have the presence of mind, let me remind myself,
right,
and the hearers that everyone, all the Commodores, from Commodore Smith to the present Commodore,
yeah,
they knew about this account. They were either part of it or they lived it out. And all right, all of the leaders who became honorable men, they had the power to change what had happened. They could have made a law to say, give these survivors something substantial.
Yeah.
And that we wouldn't have been talking about this now, because it would have already been done.
Well, there would have just been an interview where we're talking about the incident itself.
And what they did.
And it would have been so nice to say that, yes, and they took care of those men, and it'll be so nice to say that.
Yeah.
And their families, and I do trust that someday before I pass on, I would be able to say that. Because it's needed. And like I was saying, do you know of anybody in Abaco that is knighted?
No, sir, but
most of them are here in Nassau.
I can inquire.
Yeah.
I could always go to the administration office in the community.
Find out, yeah.
And say anyone in the community.
Yeah.
Because just how people don't know I'm a national hero. A lot of people don't know.
But they don't know. But if you're knighted, they will want to know why.
I want to be knighted.
They will want to know why. Why is he knighted? What caused them to give him knighthood? And the story of the flamingo will have to come out. So you see the exposure?
I can leave that to you.
Yeah, well,
whatever becomes of that part of it.
Yeah.
I just want
that story of the flamingo would now be in Abaco. Because every time they see Peterson, Sir Peterson, that's what they will have to call you. They'll be like, how could we call him Sir Peterson? And even the children in school will want to know that. Oh, because he was one of the crew on Flamingo when it was so viciously attacked by the Cubans, and he survived, and what they had to go through, and all that comes out. Yeah. The same thing with Sanders and Andres. It'll come out. Cladwell and Eleuthera, it will come out. He'll probably be the only knighted person in Eleuthera, the only knighted person in Andres. And because of that, the story will have to be regurgitated over and over again. Yeah. And when they name those streets after yours.
I like to use the word account.
Yeah, makes it.
See, because a story could be false.
Yeah. Oh, but
when it's an account, if somebody saw something, that is speaking the truth.
You lived
Yeah.
to tell the story.
Right. It seems
If you didn't live because they came back and they found you guys because Dusty didn't find that steering pin and Commander Roll didn't say darken ship. We would not know anything. We would all say, boy, that was a mystery, eh? Flamingo, that's gone missing in thin air.
But Captain, it'd be so nice that after all these years, Dusty's dead.
Yeah.
But they say that word again for me.
Reparation.
Right. And his wife, his children, I don't know,
It's a state.
That
whoever's his next of kin,
good
the
word,
state gets
that
something.
they get something.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? It's
Yes.
never too late
It's
to
never
do
too
what
late.
is right.
Never too late. Especially while some of you are still here with us.
But even in debt, someone will benefit.
Even in death, someone will benefit.
'Cause-
Those who died already will also get
Yeah.
their due just. So they will also benefit in debt.
Because who
But
knows?
you don't want me to tell all of y'all there to say, okay, now all of them will benefit in debt. No, we don't want that.
His descendants might be struggling.
More than likely.
They don't know.
More than likely.
You see, because
See?
all they expected more or less is that they show up on the 10th of May.
But you don't know what medical challenges some of these men are going through every day right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And if they were compensated in that way or they received that reparation, that will make it so much easier for them.
So you can cause me to just remember some. Do you know that? Seriously, this is personal, but there's nothing personal. All right, somebody knows it.
Somebody can know, yeah.
On different months,
Right.
I have to pay $500 for my wife to get her eyes examined.
Wow.
All right, she has an eye ailment, and they have to check it. Sometimes she do it. It costs $250, but when they do the full thing and whatever they do,
More money.
it costs over $500.
Does she have to go to Freeport for that? Or
No, it's done in
Or
Abaco.
the doctor flies there?
No, they have facilities in
doctor.
Nassau do it, but that's what it costs.
All right, wow.
So the pension, but $1,000 on those months, I got $500 left.
You have.
I got children I adopt, they live in Haiti that I contribute
That you
to. I've
have,
done doing that for 20 years.
Right. That reparation.
Yeah,
goes
you
on a
see,
long
so
way.
you see, I don't speak from a point of lack.
Yeah, but
I
so much you
speak-
could do.
But if I have more, if I got $1 million today, I could change my world. There are people who I know that I would give money to. I wouldn't buy a Rolls Royce.
No, you don't. And the thing
That
is,
ain't my
you're so
heart.
deserving of that $1 million whether you buy the Rolls Royce or not.
Yeah, so-
reality is the country owes you guys, man.
Yeah. Well,
You know, and I can keep pushing for it because it's
I hope you do.
something that's supposed to happen.
yeah. So that is my account.
Well, for us,
I probably wouldn't do this setting like no more.
well, I am happy that
I did one mini feature where I talk about some things, Flamingo, with my brother Sylvan Mills in Abaco.
Right.
All right. To the best of my knowledge, I haven't done it ever.
Since then, yeah.
Yeah, but I felt that I need to say something on behalf of the men, the survivors,
Right.
that would benefit us all.
Yeah, and I'm sure they appreciate it.
And that's why I used some names.
Yes.
There's some names I didn't use. I gave some incidents that somebody need to not only hear, but to listen. Because when you listen to something,
Yeah.
you remember it.
Yes.
All right? You do what it calls for.
That's right.
And in that way, it brings some changes. So I'll do the blessing because that's where my heart is.
Yeah.
I want
Well, I
souls
thank
to
you
get in
for-
heaven. I say, God, the Lord bless us as a nation, as individuals. He keep us,
Yes.
and He give us peace in this time that we're living. When there's so much, everybody is faced with so much things, and even though we might expect whatever the amount we have in mind, if they give us something,
Yeah.
most people will say, "Thank you very much, sir."
Yeah, they should show appreciation.
Exactly.
In addition to the recognition that reparation is equally important.
Yeah, I talking about reparation. Yeah, that's what we all.
We still want to name some of these streets after you.
Well-
St. Vincent Road is going to become Sir.
Ain't no harm in that.
No, yeah, Sir.
Yeah.
Peterson James Road.
I live on Independence Road.
That's why we could big name that one.
40 something years.
I know that's the Peterson Road. We can make that Sir Peterson James Road.
Because who is St. Vincent?
Who knows? But we can know who is Sir Peterson James.
I mean, he might be a famous person, but the
He
question
couldn't
is,
be as
who
famous
is
as
he?
Sir Peterson should be, because he didn't go through half of what y'all went through. I don't care who he is.
Good point. I think your mind is made up.
My
God
mind
bless
is
and
made
give you.
Yeah, brother, thank you so much as usual. And yeah, man, you know, we've been through the thick and thin. I didn't go through it as much as you guys did, but
You know, the time will come when I receive that and then I'll come back and I'll say my heart toward that. I'll say how thankful I am.
yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I just want to see you guys straight, man, because what you've been through.
Yeah.
I wish that if I had gone through, you know, I would have been.
Look like nothing's gonna change. Everything still remains the same. I can't do what 10 people tell me to do, so I guess I'll remain the same. Sitting here resting my bones, and this loneliness won't leave me alone. This 2,000 miles I roam just to make this dock my home. Now I'm just gonna sit at the dock of a bay, watching the tide roll. Sitting on the dock of a bay, wasting time.
The music is good. Just like gives me a good feeling all day. It's great music.
Don't hear the same song a lot.
Love 97, your favorite adult radio station. It's a great feeling.
At One-on-One Pharmacy, our friendly staff is ready to serve you. Visit us today for all your prescription and over-the-counter needs at our East Street South or Charles Saunders Highway locations. We're open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and from 9 to 4 on Sundays. In a rush? Send your refill scripts online at oneononepharmacy.com or ask about our convenient pickup service. One-on-One Pharmacy, providing personal health care with people at heart. At Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited, we offer first-class maritime security services throughout the Bahamas and the wider Caribbean. As experts in maritime security, we specialize in production of ISPS assessments and plans, verification audits, certified familiarization training, and port security consultancy, just to name a few. Our services also include provision of a security force to maintain all required ISPS facility security compliance. For all your maritime security needs, visit us today in Nassau at our East Street South location or in Freeport in the Kipling building. Call us